It's your man Alex, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to fade men's hair at home. So let's get right into it. So to get started with this self haircut, I'm going to be going in with my trimmers that have a T-blade attached to them, and I'm going to be putting in the bald line. Now for most of us, cutting your own hair is a great way to save time and money, and learning how to do it, you have to have the right tools, of course. So if you guys want to check out, I have a whole list of recommended self haircut tools linked in the description below. So just check out the link and you'll get all the different tools that you can get. Some are really cheap, some are medium tiered and expensive. So I have all the different tools that I recommend and have been using for the past 16 years. And so these are the things that I recommend to give you successful self haircuts from the start. So again, to go and get started with the self haircut, just going in, putting in the first guideline with the trimmers, okay? Now, one thing with the trimmers that you need to have is a trimmer with the T-blade, and it's really just a blade that's shaped like the capital letter T, and it helps with getting more area when you're going in to cut the hair, right? It's not a really small blade, it's a little bit wider, so you cut more hair with the same swooping motion. Now going in with the no guard lever open, I'm going to be going up about 3/4 to 1 whole inch. Now I remember when I was first starting out cutting my own hair, I was too scared to go up 3/4 to an inch. All of my guidelines were like 1/3, like super tiny little guidelines. But I promise you, you have to go up 3/4 to 1 inch, especially to give yourself room to make the fade gradient and make the transition from light to dark. You have to go up the 3/4 to an inch for the guidelines. Otherwise, you're gonna make them guidelines too small, and then you're gonna try to fade in, and you're just gonna be left with a bunch of hard lines throughout the entire fade. So trust me, from personal experience, you're going to have to go up 3/4 to 1 inch for every single guideline that you put into your hair. Now I'm going in with the number 1 guard lever open, and so you'll notice too when I'm using the clipper, all of the guards that I'm going up with are with the lever open, right? No guard lever open, 1 guard lever open, and now number 2 guard lever open. So every time I'm putting in one of the guidelines going up 3/4 to 1 inch, the lever is always in the open position. All right, and that's done on purpose. So it makes it easier when I go back and fade afterwards. So again, put in all the guidelines, and I'll make sure I put in the card section above in the top right corner a video that shows you my best mirror setup, and I go over 3 different mirror setups for self haircuts and which one I think is the best option for you. So check out that video as well. I'll leave it linked in the card section above. Now going in to start fading in the hard lines, okay? This is where it gets really tricky for most people because you have to have kind of agile hands and a somewhat loose wrist. So you need to be able to grip the clippers relatively firm, not overly firm, but enough so that it doesn't slip out of your hands. But you also need to have a somewhat of a loose wrist that allows you to have that flicking motion, okay? Now, something I like to do also is use, as you can see here, my left hand is stretching out my scalp so that it's kind of elongating the guideline, right? That 3/4 of an inch, it's making that stretch out a little bit further so that I can have more room to flick out with the guideline sequence. So to fade out the first hard line, I'm using the no guard lever halfway. Then I'm going to go in with the no guard lever closed, as you can see here, and I'm just using the corners. I'm also just flicking out from underneath the hard line, going up, hitting the hard line and flicking away using like a capital C motion. So I'm going underneath, flicking up and away, right? I'm not trying to create a new hard line by accident. I'm flicking out directly at the hard line. Now I'm going in with the trimmers because sometimes you'll notice when you're flicking out, you'll still see a hard line. And so what you have to do is go back to the guard and lever position that you used to put in the hard line in the first place to get rid of the hard line. And in this case, that hard line was put in via the trimmer. So you have to go back to the trimmer as the third step to get rid of that first hard line. So hopefully that makes sense and it's not overly complicated. You can always rewind and double check what I'm saying and just go through the video again. So now I'm going in with the number 1 guard, lever closed. This is going to soften up that middle hard line right there. Usually, I like to do a softening step with the fading process, and it usually gets rid of about 50% of the hard line. Then I'll go in and follow up for that middle hard line with the half guard, lever closed, and this should get rid of 100% of that middle hard line. If for some reason it doesn't, which sometimes it doesn't, you'll have to go back to the no guard, lever open, which was again the guard and lever position that put in that hard line in the first place. And then you just use the corners and the flick out motion for that hard line as well. Now to get rid of the third and final hard line that I put in for the fade, I'm going to be using the 1.5 guard, lever close, and I'm just going to be doing the same exact thing, going up with that flick out motion. I'm probably going up about 1/2 inch, but I'm also flicking out and away from my head at the same exact time. Now I know some of you might be asking me, Alex, I don't have the half guard or the 1.5 guard. Honestly, my best advice is to buy them, because as much as you could cut your own hair without them, it's better to cut your hair with them. So if you can, make the effort to buy the half guard and 1.5 guard as well. Now going in with the thinning shear over comb technique, I'm going to be blending in the fade into that longer length on top. Now thinning shears, I'm telling you, are probably one of the most underrated tools, and for self haircutting in general are amazing. So highly recommend you guys practice that skill set of giving yourself really nice blends using the thinning shears. Now I'm going in with the thinning shear held in reverse method, which is something that I personally discovered to pinpoint hard lines and bulky spots within the fade and cut directly at them in order to make the fade even more blurry. This has been one of the most game-changing techniques. I highly recommend you practice it. Now sometimes you'll notice when you give yourself a fade on the sides and back that the length on top is a little bit too long, and it kind of makes your head shape look a little weird, right? A little bit lopsided, a little bit top heavy. So what I'm just gonna do right now is go in and just trim the ends. So I'm cleaning up the ends that connect to the fade on the sides of my head, the perimeter of my head. And then I'm just gonna trim a little bit off the top, literally just the tips, not a lot, because I know I've got thick hair, so when I trim the tips anyway, it kind of balances out. But mostly around the perimeter of the top of my head is what I really want to balance out with the fade. So I'm not going to be wetting my hair. Usually, I would recommend wetting your hair if you're cutting the length on top, but because I'm just trimming a tiny bit off, I don't think it's very necessary to wet your entire head in order to do that. So once you finish blending in the fade to the length on top, you want to give yourself a clean lineup. So what I like to do is use my little cheap scissors to cut the baby hairs by my forehead and clean up the forehead line just a little bit. Then I'll go in afterwards and use my trimmers with the T-blade to clean up the vertical bars, which is what you're seeing right now. I'll also do the C-cups as well, going around my eyebrows. You definitely don't want to skip lining up your hair. I'm super excited to reveal my first ever hairstyling product and brand, Organic Clay by Kouras. Organic Clay is a high hold matte finish product with only 6 all-natural ingredients: shea butter, arrowroot powder, beeswax, kaolin clay, rosemary oil, and vitamin E oil. That's it. This hair clay is not only perfect at styling your hair with a high hold matte finish, but it's also extremely nourishing and healthy for your scalp and hair. I couldn't be happier with it, and I'm excited for you to try it out as well. This is how to fade men's hair at home and how you can always look fresh and save a lot of money every year. Let me know in the comments below how you think the haircut turned out and what other hairstyles you'd like me to try out next. But make sure you leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and check out this video if you want to take your self haircuts to the next level.